Alright, before we get started with today's video, I just wanted to take just a moment to thank everyone for taking the time to watch our vlog/video. I hope you enjoy these, and I hope you'll take a moment to click that little icon that's on the screen to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell if you'd like. We are slowly beginning to grow, but it's because people enjoy our videos and they're sharing them with their friends on their social media. We want to say thank you for that. All right, let's get on to today's video/vlog. Welcome back, family and friends. Today I'm going to can some tomatoes, and I just thought, well, since I'm not working out in the garden, I can at least show you how we're putting the garden produce up. I've got some of the prettiest tomatoes here that we have ever raised. I mean, they're just beautiful. So a lot of people will put their tomatoes in the freezer, let them freeze, take them out, thaw them so the skin comes off. And other people will put these in boiling water and dip them out and put them in ice water. I ain't got time for that. I'm busy. So what I do is I take and I'll cut the tops and any bad spots out. I put them in our blender. And by the time I get those things ground up, you're not going to see any peelings, and to me the peelings are just more fiber. I've got my jars washed, sitting there with hot water in them, and I will be putting the jars, before I use them, over here in this really hot water. I'll dip one out, and as I'm setting it over here, I'll take and empty the water out of one of these and put it back in this. We'll boil our tomatoes in this, and we'll use the ball canning recommendations of a boiling water bath for 45 minutes. And this will be our boiling water bath. So it really shouldn't take too long. Oh yes, and I'm very messy. So this old beach towel's put down here to protect the hardwood floors. And of course, this is here just to catch and keep some of the splatter from rolling off, because when you're working with a blender and liquefying tomatoes, trust me, there's going to be some drops of liquid that's going to go all over from time to time. All right, as you can see, I've got my blender about half full, and believe it or not, that is one tomato. Those are pink German tomatoes. Got those seed from Park Seed. They are an heirloom variety. Okay, I'm going to continue on doing more tomatoes the same way. I'm simply cutting that top out, and yes, it cracks a little bit there on the top. That's just the nature of this tomato. But I'm going to show you here on this tomato why we like to can the German pinks. I'm going to cut this thing in half first. Well, there's a little brown spot on the peel. And I know it wouldn't hurt, but I don't have any desire for it to be in my tomato sauce. Look at that meat. Look how meaty it is. There's not a lot of seeds in the pink German. That's one reason that it works so well for canning. That sucker off here. Gonna slice it the same way I did the other one. As I was saying, these tomatoes are very, very meaty. Okay, now I'll take these tomatoes and cut them into pieces. Normally I quarter them, but these are a little larger tomato. That's about all I can get in it. I have to rinse my hands. Now we're going to push the key for liquefy and liquefy it. Sorry about this sound. I will turn this sound down when I'm editing the video. And you might wonder how long you leave it on liquefy. You leave it on liquefy that when you're watching the side of the blender, that there's not any peel flying around and you don't see seeds. Once you have got it liquefied, you're ready to add it to the pot over here. And we just keep adding. And again, I see a few seeds, but as they say, tomato seeds are one of the few seeds that can survive most anything. I know in my compost bin, the one thing that I always have come up, and I do put a lot of vegetables in the compost bin with the seeds in them, but the only thing that ever comes up is tomatoes, and that thing, I constantly have volunteer tomatoes coming up in it and around it. It's just the nature of tomatoes. Okay. Our pot is as full as we can get it. One thing about boiling tomatoes, if you don't watch them closely, once they start getting to a boil, they will absolutely start foaming unreal and run out all over the stove. Been there, done that, not a fun thing. Of course, everything's ready. We've got a bit of a mess. We started with that dishcloth there, and then we've gone to this one. Now both of these are old, and they're only used for things like this. And of course I've done carried off one bowl of tomato pieces. But we are now to the process of boiling this. We'll continue on right after I take the puppy out to pee. And again, go ahead and turn that up a little higher on the stove. Our boiling water bath water is steaming, and we'll turn it up higher once we get the jars in it. Now this I will have to watch since I've turned it up. As I said, I can see that it's already starting to foam up right there. We've had it on low. We've had it on low just so that it wouldn't take so long. We have to boil it until all of this foam is gone. I've seen it take as little as 15 minutes, and I've seen it take as much as 45 minutes. It depends on the tomatoes. But before we put that in our jars, we're going to want to get rid of that. And I will be putting canning salt in the jars, and I'll give you more details on that as we get to that stage. Okay, our tomatoes took just a little over 20, close to 25 minutes, maybe 30, but all of the foam has dissipated. It's now lunchtime. Normally I just put it in the jars now, but I've got it turned down to the lowest setting on the stove, and it's going to sit here and simmer while I have my lunch. Okay, it's time now to start filling our jars. I've done filled my belly with my lunch. That water has been boiling, so these jars are very hot. And I'm using some old mayonnaise jars. They don't even make them that a ring fits them anymore, that I got from my mother. And I know some of these mayonnaise jars are more than 40 years old, but they work every year. All right. Going to also get my ladle in that since it's been laying there. Sterilize it. Now a lot of people will cook this down a little bit more, but we find this perfect. If we're fixing a spaghetti sauce, and I will put a link to that above. We always add a little bit of tomato paste, normally one of those small cans. You want to fill this to within about a ½ inch from the top. And then I'm going to put in, according to the Ball Canning book, 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to take either a clean rag, or this time I'm using a paper towel, to make sure I've got that ring totally clean. Now, you do not have to do this, but this is the way I was taught to do it. Those lids have been sitting in hot water. Everything is hot. I like to use 2 washcloths to tighten my lid. Okay, even in a water bath, you tighten it and back it up just a little bit so it's just finger tight. You don't want to have it on there too tight. Okay, there are our quarts. Actually, it's 6 quarts and a pint and a half. The water is bubbling around it, and of course there is some bubbling around the ring as that water moves in there and the air escapes from the ring. But 45 minutes later and we'll take this off and we'll be done. Alright, this is what our tomato sauce looks like when we're finished with it. I can hardly wait to open a jar of this and fix a pot of spaghetti, a pot of chili, a pot of soup. There's just so many possibilities, so many ways that we use our tomato sauce.